Welcome in, friends and neighbors. Monday Night Football, it's in the books. Like to see a big group of people in here, and then you're already here. Well done. For all of you regulars around here, thanks for being here. For anybody new that's waiting to find out what this is my live stream of my notes, what I took away from the game as quickly as we can. I just finished recording the Locked On Chiefs podcast with Matt Derrick and Chris Clark. We got those done, so that's up there, uploading now. It should be ready in just a couple of minutes. You guys can check that out when this is done. Lot of friendly faces. Nice to see you all. Jeremy, Eric, Daryl, Jeremy, dang, all kinds of you guys. Welcome. I hope that you're breathing again. It did not go the way that we thought it would. I certainly didn't see it working out that way. What did I have? I think I predicted 31-17 was my prediction, something like that. Definitely had it as two scores, and it did work out that way, but still didn't expect the first half to go the way that it did. And if you guys haven't seen the By the Numbers series, I'll be doing that again next week. One of the key stats is how many of their drives do they score on? And the first half was abysmal. It was at 40% and 6 points. That's not good. So good for them for getting it turned around. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that now. The like, the sub, and the bell notification will let you know when we do something new. Me and the guys on the team here, Dan and Danilo, we're always putting out content. Danilo did something earlier today, the Tailgate series, his Kingdom Corner series that he does for us, and that went pretty well and got us ready for a game that had been long delayed without Cam Newton. And quite frankly, I think it kind of led to what we saw in the first half. A team that didn't feel that they really had to put out a whole lot in order to get a win. I don't know if that's just because of the delay, if because they're just uber confident, as they should be as the defending champs, and honestly, after beating the Ravens, who I think are a better team than New England, or if it's just the fact that they didn't have Cam and the game was delayed because of all the hype and the COVID stuff and all that stuff. But it's one thing or another. They didn't feel that they had, or they didn't feel like when they walked on the field, they had to put out right away in order to get that win. I thought that kind of caught up with them. Some good things, some bad things. Again, if you guys want to direct questions to Aaron, he might be able to tell you a couple of things. I'm going to try to get through all my notes so I give you everything that I wrote down before I get into film review this week. So this isn't the Q&A. We'll get back to Q&A next Monday night when we're back on a normal schedule. We'll see how often that happens. But let's get into the start. So obviously the first drive, that play that was almost an interception right off the bat, didn't start well. And I think that was what we saw as the change of plan for what New England was going to do. They went zone heavy. They went secondary heavy. They didn't go the cover zero that we saw them do in years past. That was effective against Mahomes at the time. In fact, in maybe it was the fourth quarter, they started bringing a little bit of blitz, and it backfired against them. That's when Patrick got loose and made some plays. And that's really, I think, why they didn't do it the whole game. Good for them. That was smart. Just to go in chronological here, how I went through my notes. Willie Gay getting the start, I think that's important. He's been creeping up, and I think I'll be interested to see what the snap counts come out at because I think he played a little bit all over the place. A little bit. I wanted to say I saw a couple of nickel plays, nickel dime. I can't remember what the rest of the defense was deployed at, as well as some base. And I thought he attacked the ball well. I thought he blitzed well. I thought he came down, and his pursuit was better than what we've seen over the last couple of years. And part of that is the athleticism, for sure. And part of that is effort, quite frankly. It's pursuing the play when it's away from you. It's making that play on the cutback. It's being there in position. And the big play that stood out to me is one where he actually got behind the line of scrimmage and was chasing the ball carrier away from him. Deshaun Wharton did the same thing. And I thought Deshaun did a pretty good job at times as well. He got exposed once when Spags decided to drop him. Spags will do that every now and then. I have no problem with them taking a defensive end like Alex Okafor and dropping him. He's talented at it. He has the experience to do it, and it works out. It is a chess piece to give him something and then take it away. Doing that with a defensive lineman, even as athletic as Tershawn Wharton is, and I know some people have been calling him Turk. I don't know if that's his real nickname or not. I'm not going to use it until I know. Doing that with a rookie defensive lineman, even as athletic as he is, I think that's a bit of a risk. I wouldn't have done that, and I think that probably exposed him just a little bit. Not the end of the day of the world, but something to keep an eye on. The power run was working for Clyde. The zone stretch, the inside outside that they were completely stubborn with, all first half at least, except for the exception of a couple of power runs early that they tried, and one of those actually worked. Where I think it was Schwartz and Weiler, they got pulling around, got in front of Clyde, and that actually worked. And that's not a zone scheme. That's not what this team is, a zone team. It's not what they usually do. And changing that up, I thought was good. And I was on Twitter at the time and said, you got to attack this a different way than what you're doing right now. Your classic inside-outside zone is too predictable for what the Patriots do, which is defend those two runs pretty dang well. And I think you saw that the majority of the game. So then they switched it up and they got a little bit of traction there, but then they went back to it and they sputtered all first half. And then in the second half, that's when it started to come for them. We'll get to Clyde here in a minute, but the power run is what started Clyde. I thought he looked good on that a few times. Juan Thornhill sighting. Juan looked like he was attacking the ball like he did in college again. And part of that is recognition, being in the defense, knowing where he's supposed to be. But some of that also is having confidence in where your knee is. And I think he's been creeping along. Like I said 2 weeks ago, I thought it was about 90%. He looked like he's taken a step forward from there. He said in his presser this last week that he was really looking to start making more of a presence, like he felt better. It certainly showed up tonight. He was all over the place. Got that one pick that was the play of the game early. That's why it's on the thumbnail for this live stream, because that was what was out at halftime when I made the thumbnail. But he made plays in the second half too. Almost came up with another pick, made a couple of nice stops. I think Juan Thornhill's rounding into shape, and paired obviously with Tyrann Mathieu, they're making plays. Both of them got picks tonight. That's a big deal. Then we move into the second quarter. Sammy with the fumble. I can't really blame Sammy. That was a great play by the defender. I think that was Gilmore. Good for him. You got into a couple of things. Two guys that had up and down games. Sorensen and Neiman looked exposed early. Sorensen couldn't get off of blocks. Neiman missed a couple tackles. Later in the game, they recovered and they both made good plays. So I think overall it was an even, like a B minus, C plus kind of game for both of them. But very much so ups and downs instead of like a nice even keel, which, hey, sometimes is sometimes. But that said, the guy that really stood out to me, there's two of them. Rashad Fenton, definitely. And this is what I was telling you guys. This is why these channels on here on YouTube that constantly go over the rumors this and rumors that, it's all bull. I've been telling you guys all summer. These rumors are all crazy. They don't want to go get corners. They're not going to trade. I think I saw one yesterday, some crazy idea for a trade. I think these guys just make this stuff up. It's just ridiculous. In fact, I might have to go smash some more rumors next week or the week after, because some of this stuff is just dumb. They're not going to go trade for a corner. They like their young guys. They saw what we see now. They saw the potential for this 6 months ago when they finished the draft. That's what this coaching staff is doing. They're light years ahead of us. So anybody that tells you there's a rumor out there they're going to go trade for X, Y, or Z or Jalen Mills or whoever, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. Nobody on YouTube has any connections into the Chiefs organization. Guarantee it, because I don't. And if anybody would, it's me. I will tell you this. Sorry to get off on a rant on the rumor thing. It really bugs me when people just make stuff up to fill up video hours. So that's why I enjoy spending my time smashing them to pieces. If you're new to the channel, there's a whole series of rumors that I've made look dumb. A couple of super chats. Let me make sure that I hit you guys. Daniel, I appreciate it very much. Mr. Riddick. Is it me or is it time that Darrell Williams has knocked down the first contact a little too often? He has had a bad start. He is getting that reputation here. I don't know what it is. He used to run through people. He's still very nimble, so I'm not too worried about it. I just want to make him pay a little bit. So I'm hoping it's still because of the injury and he just needs to work into it and honestly get a few more snaps. I think they were, kept it in the back of their mind about how many snaps they were getting Clyde. So that balance will come. I don't think I saw Darwin on offense at all. And I think I'm okay with that. Um, Chris Casey, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that, you guys. When you guys support the channel, very, very helpful. Is our defense improving or is it still too early? They are in some cases. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they gave up almost 200 yards rushing tonight. That's not an improvement. That's not good. But a lot of that was, determined runs. And quite frankly, it was Josh McDaniels doing a good job of attacking the weaknesses the Chiefs defense has or has had over the last couple of seasons, last year in particular. So they still have a long way to go against the run defense. But overall, I think they're not giving up the huge run plays like we saw. So that's a plus. Thank you again for your super chat. And Daryl Miller, thank you as well. Why are we missing so many extra points? That's a really good question. And I don't mean to get off from Rashad Fenton. Let me finish my thought on him first. The other thing is Rashad made that play on that underthrown ball late in the game, right? And so that certainly made a big deal. But he also made a bunch of PBUs. I think he had 4 on the night. He had a tackle for loss. He was in position. He was shadowing. And here's the thing. Not only are they not going to trade for a corner, they don't even care to get an actual outside corner. Because like I told you guys over the summer, Rashad Fenton can play outside. It's perfectly fine. They are comfortable with it. I know I lost a light. Sorry about that. And Fenton's really proving what he can do. He can play inside or outside. And he even got, he got beat a couple times, but he made recovery. And especially with some underthrown balls, it didn't exploit him. But he's got to lock that down too. But he can do whatever they need. When Breeland gets back, it's going to be great. And then they're going to have 3. And I'm going to be really interested to see how they choose to deploy them. Are they going to leave Rashad on the outside, let Breezy go inside? He played some nickel in Green Bay and actually made some plays there. That'll be interesting. And then you have the whole question of Snead. Another, 6 weeks-ish is my guess on Snead. And then you have 4 corners that can play. That's pretty good, especially when you're talking about having gone up against, the Chargers that have a good wide receiver core and the Ravens that have a decent one, if you include the tight end at least. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about where the corners are at. Now, to go back to that last question, the extra points, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the aftermath of all that rush of success when Butker hit those 258s. I don't know if it's a hold thing. I've heard a lot of questions about the holding and if it's just a problem with it, or quite frankly, if it's just some kind of getting used to the way it's spun, the way it's laying down. It's a lot of back and forth. It's really underestimated thing how important the holder is to the proficiency of the kicker. So I think that's just going to be an experiment that has to go on for a while. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. But that said, you want to get that locked down. So another super chat here. Sexy accident. Schwartz and Fisher look good in the preseason form. What do they need to get back to their elite level? Quite honestly, they're just basically getting out of the preseason now. In terms of a veteran, what their body's used to, this is about where they start to feel good. So that's the big deal. I would say another week or two. By the Bills game, I would say they're both rounded into shape and really firing on all cylinders is my guess. Avery Fleming, thanks for yours as well. May sound crazy, but overall, our defense has been the strength so far. I mean, it's helped with the slow starts, that's for sure. I really appreciate what they're doing, and I'm glad to see that fans are too. A lot of people don't. In fact, there were some pretty good complaints tonight. Some good, some bad. I get it. But Avery, you're not crazy. Nipper Girl, thank you very much for your super chat as well. I appreciate that. Getting back to my notes. So Fenton obviously did his thing. Mahomes, the fumble. And I know they called it, what was it? Did they call that incomplete? I hope they didn't. It shouldn't have been. No, they called it a sack. And at that point, they're protecting Patrick. That's why that happened that way. The rest blew their whistle because he was in the grasp enough that they were concerned for him. And here's the thing. If you were on Twitter, you saw all kinds of Boston beat reporters go crazy and start crying about, how they're getting, these calls now. It's super hypocritical for Boston media, not bloggers, not YouTubers, not independents, but Boston beat reporters crying about Patrick getting the Tom Brady treatment in reverse. I'm over that. I'm not listening to any of that. Yes, that was not the right call. That should have been a fumble. Patrick fumbled the ball. That's just what it is. And Randy, I'm trying to say Patrick all night. Yes, he got the benefit of the doubt because, again, they blew the whistle in order to try to protect him. He is the face of the league now, as Tom Brady was for years. The refs are going to try to protect him whenever he's in danger of getting rolled up or anything like that. So more power to him. And all the New England fans and media can stop crying about it. Get used to what the rest of the league has dealt with for the last decade. I'm over it. That said, Mahomes, I think he just got a little bit confused. And quite frankly, I felt the receivers weren't doing enough to get open against the zones. And some of them, you saw late in the game, they had the sky cam on a couple times. And when you have 7 and 8 man drops, the instinct, what they're taught in general when you're playing like a regular cover 2 or something like that, is to settle down in the gaps. But when you have 8 and 7 guys out in the field in zone, they're all close enough. The zones are smaller, so you can't settle down enough, especially if Patrick's got to see through or maneuver outside the pocket and then deliver the ball. It's a timing thing. You can't deliver the ball as easily. So they really needed to not just recognize that it was a particular zone, but they needed to run through it. They needed to attack the next gap. So they give themselves enough space so that Patrick can lead them. That's really what it's about. And so I thought they did that later in the game. I thought Kelsey did that. I thought Tyreek did it once too. I'm not sure if that one was completed or not. So that's definitely a question mark. Another super chat. Joe, let's see here. Thank you for New England being the Pistons for the Bulls. The Patton Hosey needs to get better and be balling out. You're absolutely right. Mother trucking. I like that. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the support and the super chat and you being here. So as with everybody else, I appreciate you guys being here. As we went on, halftime comes around and I thought they turned it around. After the game, Clyde Edwards-Helaire said that, they just, the mood was they had to stop, breaking themselves. And they've done this a couple of times. They just need to get their act together and start executing. And so I think that's what it came down to. This team just needs a kick in the butt, it seems, every game. But, they're going to get there. Spags started blitzing in the second half, and I thought that was pretty opportunistic, good timing against the run. Again, what I saw from Willie was solid against the run, which is his weakness, I think. I thought he looked good running around. And then Taco. Taco's the other defensive player. I question whether his sack was better or his sack celebration was better. I put it on Twitter at the time. That's a pretty high-end sack celebration. So good for him. And this is what I thought we were going to see from Taco from the get-go. He's a few weeks late. I will admit that. But when they signed him, this is what I envisioned. A guy that has enough ability to spike and make some plays every now and then to help win a game. The question for me was, when was he going to go from this to here to making those kind of plays every game consistently? That's what they need from Taco. He does that, he becomes the starter. Right now, Tano Passanio's locking it down. He's doing a good job. He doesn't have the oomph that you've seen from Taco already, just because the pass rush is not the same in terms of explosiveness. And so I think what you're starting to see is Taco getting used to the scheme, getting more comfortable in what he's doing, getting more comfortable with his teammates. And I think he's going to continue to get better. What I want to see is 5-6 pressures and hopefully a sack from Taco every game. That's my expectation, because that's what I think his potential could be. What we are seeing right now, the last game or two where he's had a couple of things here or there, that's been my expectation from the get-go, because that's what we saw in Dallas, and I think he's capable of that. Rob Marinelli's a very good defensive line coach. So is Brendan Daly. So I don't see a huge drop-off there. Nothing against Rob. Coach Marinelli's very, very good, but so is Daly. And I think he can get the more time he spends with Taco, the better it's going to get. And I love that sack celebration. Once again, I felt like the team didn't feel they had to go all out to get this win. And I think they tried to keep it pretty vanilla until they had to. They got in the red zone, they couldn't get things done. So finally, Andy had to go to some of the crazier plays, the misdirection plays, the jets, and that kind of thing. And it ended up working. I don't think he wanted to pull those out. And like Eric Bieniemy said the other day, there's still plenty in the playbook of the nifty stuff, the stuff you go to when you want to break people down. That's important. So there's still arrows in the quiver, so to speak, and I think that's going to be a big deal down the stretch. What else? A couple last notes. I thought that the defense did look a little bit tired there in the fourth quarter. The first drive in the first quarter, they started to look a little bit and they got a spark. I think, honestly, Tyron getting that pass interference call, which I thought was pretty ticky-tack, I think that pissed him off. I think that lifted them all, to tell you the truth. That's pretty important. And we saw what they did down the stretch and really got on them at that point. And then I want to say the last thing that I thought was important was, like we were talking about earlier with Clyde getting in the power run in the first half to try and mix it up instead of just being inside-outside zone late in the game. And if you follow me on Twitter, you heard me tweet about this from before halftime, that you have to hit the edges of the defense with Clyde, because Clyde's great in space. We see what he can do. He can squeeze through holes, in the pass game, that kind of thing. The pitches are exactly what I was talking about. And Andy finally got around to admitting the inside zone isn't working, the outside zone isn't working. We're just going to have to pitch him. And they did. And there's going to be more. That's going to be a play that's always going to work, because teams are going to be concerned about, if they're not going to drop 8, they're going to pack in inside the tackles and try to get to Mahomes. And in that positioning, when everybody's between the tackles, you get that pitch out there quick, Clyde's gone. And I thought they did a very good job with that. When you're getting 8-9 yards a clip with it, that's something that you can rely on, and I think they're going to have to. So that's my big takeaway. I'm going to have plenty more when I go through the film. And there's a couple here that are a little more involved that I'll try to do a video on, or definitely have on the podcast. So check out Locked On Chiefs podcast. If you guys haven't done that, we're part of the network. I'm also over on Locked On NFL. I do the national show on Thursdays. So give that a subscribe if you would too. That'll definitely help. In which case, it'll give you a little bit wider view of the league, and I'll show you some of the things, talk about some of the other teams that are going to be pressing the Chiefs, because the Chiefs right now are their own worst enemy in terms of total output, but there are some teams on the horizon that can do some damage. The Bills are a very good team, especially with their quarterback figuring his stuff out. It's going to be formidable. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope you guys are too. We're going to have Behind the Numbers tomorrow. We're going to have film the day after that. We'll probably both do film this week, Dan and I. Danilo will have the pregame tailgate Kingdom Corner series, probably Saturday, maybe Sunday morning. I'm not sure. So we have plenty coming for you. If you're not subscribed, do that now. Right down below, click the thing with the stuff. Hit the like for me if you like this one, because it is late, and I appreciate you guys being up here, especially if you're on the East Coast. Well done. And hit the bell notification, because it's the easiest way to track me. You got to turn it on your phone too. So like you get all notifications, then you'll know when something goes on. Big hand to Aaron Morrow, our moderator, for Dan Harms and Danilo DiGiulio. My guys will be back with more content. We're going to keep cracking at it, because this team, I think, if they can get a couple things figured out, they're going to be on that roll to run it back, and I really think that they can do it. So thank you all for being up late with me. I appreciate it. Aaron, I'll get with you soon, and we'll figure out the next step, folks. Got some cool things coming for you. I just did a couple of graphics. Let me see. I don't have any of them handy. I'll show them to you in the next live stream next Monday. Couple of new graphics that'll be some of the toys that the members get to play with. So working on that as well. Sanchez, there's your shout out. Sorry, I haven't been watching the chat too much tonight, guys. Q&A will be again next Monday night, and we'll do the regular thing. So from my IPA to yours, cheers. I appreciate y'all. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll have a video for you up tomorrow night. Have a good one.